Welcome to the Collective Healers Podcast, a place for sensitive souls on a mission to live in mind, body, spirit harmony while growing your heart-centered business. I'm your host, Christina Bentel. I'm an intuitive energy guide, splenic projector with a 1-3 profile, INFJ, and an empath. I also have 20 years of professional experience ranging from Fortune 50 companies to startups. Combining all of this with my deep love for science and spiritual growth, I aim to help you understand how to heal and transform your body, your life, your mind, and your business. So whether you're a seasoned healer, a curious soul, or just someone seeking harmony in your life, you're in the right place. Are you ready to unlock the wisdom within to embrace your full spiritual self? A friend of mine and I were talking today about what it means to show up vulnerably and authentically and be yourself in this world. And it reminded me of working with a client who I started working with about 6 months ago. And when she first started with me, she had a really hard time embracing my vulnerability in the sense of I was being authentic with her, and it was scary for her. And I fully understood that because she had never experienced what it was like to interact with somebody that was fully authentic. So she was always waiting for something that she had shared to be used against her, or for them to reject her, or for them to not be honest with her, or to hide something with her. And I told her, I said, as we begin to work together and I keep showing up authentically with love and unconditional support, eventually it'll get easier. And I understand that right now it may not, and that's okay. Part of having a secure attachment in a relationship is understanding that I am responsible for myself and you are responsible for yourself. And as part of that responsibility to ourselves, we show up as our authentic self. I will express when I need time away. I will express that if something is too much for me. And part of taking responsibility for myself is speaking up for my needs and sharing those honestly and respectfully and wanting you to do the same and welcoming you to do the same. That's not something that we're used to in most relationships. You see, in a lot of relationships, you have two people that are wearing a mask, and each mask is bumping up against each other. And those masks come with of the things that we wish we would have said, or the boundaries we wish we would have held, or the anger for somebody crossing over those boundaries. There's so much. Think about all of the things that we can hold in a mask. Like when you don't show up as yourself, have you thought about all the things that you're hiding, all the things that you're holding back, all of the things that you're pushing down and shoving down? That's part of your mask. Now imagine that you're coming up against another person with that mask. That's why we're struggling to get along with people. That's why we're struggling to get to know each other and to embrace each other and to love each other, because it's like pain piling up and piling up. And when I started living authentically, it was hard. I was scared of being rejected. I was scared of speaking up for myself and setting boundaries. But as I started practicing it and doing it more, I actually started meeting more people who were also doing it. That's the beautiful thing about living authentically is you start to attract more people who are like you and that same level of energy and vibration. So again, going back to the conversation with a friend, I'm talking about how rare it can be to meet somebody who was living authentically and respectfully. I think one thing that I want to get clear, and I don't know if other people feel this way, but for a long time, I felt like when somebody is living authentically, they're just an a-hole to other people. And that was like a misinterpretation for me, because if someone's not being respectful, that's not living authentically, because authenticity comes from a place of love. And when you can communicate and respectfully share your needs, your wants, your desires, your boundaries with love, that feels good to both sides. But also think about it this way too. It's not about bending over backwards to make sure the other person is okay. It's about doing it in a respectful way. So I'll give you a couple examples. When someone is living a healthy and authentic life and you're in a relationship, say that the relationship is feeling really draining for you and you're not getting your needs met. I had this happen in a relationship really recently where at first I didn't even realize it. I didn't realize that I was kind of I felt a little taken advantage of, but it was because I was giving more than I felt like I had been receiving in return from that friendship. And once it hit me and I realized it, I'm like, oh, I've been avoiding this person because I've been feeling that. Oh, I don't like that. But I feel safe enough to go to this relationship and say, hey, I just wanted to mention that lately you've been asking a lot from me. And I love doing that. I love doing that for you. And I want to help you. And I've been feeling kind of off because I feel like when you ask for these things, you haven't shown a whole lot of gratitude in what I've been doing for you. And it doesn't feel very good. I don't feel appreciated and I don't feel loved. I also recognize that that's not your intention. And I'm pretty sure that you do appreciate me and that you love me, but I'm not feeling that right now. So I could use a little bit more of the thank yous. Hey, you're doing really good. I really appreciate this. I said that just helps kind of fill my bucket up. So I know that like there's more of an equal give and take here. That's literally a healthy dynamic. Like there's nothing a-hole about that. There's nothing about like, hey, you're being a jerk and you need to thank me more. Like it's not, it's coming from a place of love where you're expressing yourself and your needs from a loving perspective of I love myself and these are the things that help me and I love you. And here are the things that I could use from you to help feel more love. And if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, that would never happen in my relationships, that means that you have never felt a secure attachment. That is what a secure attachment does. That is a healthy relationship when you can clearly and openly communicate those things to each other and the person listens. Because here's the other piece that I learned. If you say those things and the person doesn't reciprocate in the sense of like, I understand that this is what you need and I'm going to start working on doing that more. If the person doesn't receive that, that's not a two-part relationship. That's you talking at someone and them not internalizing what it means to be part of the other half of a relationship. A relationship has to have two sides. That's why communication is so, so important. When I started to show up more authentically in my relationships, I started to notice that there was like a lot of discomfort in specific relationships. There were even some family members who I finally decided like I needed to take some time and cut off contact because it was too much for me at that point. I had built my life of trauma in so many different ways, all of these different pieces. And I didn't have the mental or physical or emotional bandwidth to heal all of it. And it was all kind of like wearing down on me. Every single piece was wearing down on me. And it was so heavy that I was wearing all these different masks. And it was so heavy and exhausting. And it was physically impacting my body and making me sick. That's when I wound up being bedridden from physical pain and my neurological disorder because everything was weighing down on me so much. And I had to work on my closest relationships first. And I decided with family, I needed to go no contact. And they were not happy. There's some of them still not happy with me, but I had to be okay with it because I couldn't do it anymore. But being able to do that and step back from that gave me the bandwidth to start healing and showing up vulnerably and authentically in the areas in which I could, which started out with my health, which started out with being authentic in terms of like, my body hurts. Like, I'm not okay with it, but my body hurts and I accept that. I accept that, trying to force myself to live this way is not working for me. And I started speaking up for my needs. I felt a lot of shame for a long time. I felt like I was lazy because I wouldn't get up and force myself to do things because it hurt so bad. When I started to let go of that authentically, my body works slower. My body doesn't have the same level of strength as some other people because of how my energy works. And I started to accept that and to embrace it and to love it. And little by little, that is how I started showing up more as me. And then I started speaking up for myself. So with my husband, it got to the point where I'm like, I cannot cook dinner every night. It's not in the physical realm of possibility for me because of my health condition and where I was. It was so bad. I could barely take a shower. And at that point, I would have to make a choice between do I shower today or do I cook dinner for the family? I was literally having to make that decision every single day. And it was just too much. It was emotionally weighing on me of like, I need to shower. I need to take care of myself. I need to brush my teeth. These are the things I want to do. And I can't do them when I'm trying to take care of other people. And it had gotten so bad that I'm like, I spoke up to my husband and I said, I'm sorry, but I really have to take a step back and focus on staying alive and healing my body and putting myself first because I had not for a long time. And once I started to do that and I started to speak up for myself, and it was really uncomfortable, right? Because I felt lazy at first because I had been programmed, like my productivity was tied to my self-worth directly. And as I started releasing that story of, I don't have to be productive to be a valuable and worthy human being. I am inherently a valuable and worthy human being. As I started to release all these old stories and the masks slowly started coming off layer by layer by layer, it got a lot easier to show up as who I am. And that's what started healing my body because I had been keeping my body sick because of all of the masks and the negativity that I was telling myself. As I started releasing it, things started coming more easily, started coming with more flow. And I started to reconcile relationships. I started reconciling relationships with family that I did not think I ever would. There was a point in my life where I'm like, I am okay if I never talk to these people ever again, ever again. They've caused me so much pain and I will never be able to show up authentically to them. Like I just, in my heart, I'm like, I will never be able to do that. But as I kept healing and the more I embraced my full self, and I started ripping off all the crap and just getting rid of all the gunk that had been clogging me up and all the trauma that had been trapped in my cells and my body. It got to a point, there was like this tipping point where I'm like, wait, I I think I can talk to them again. I think I'll be okay no matter what they say. I recognized in my head I won't be triggered by that. Like I would play these scenarios in my head and it's like the person who was my bully, I can tolerate that and be okay. Mind blowing. So I started reconciling relationships, not for the sake of like, I felt like I had to. I wanted to for a couple of different reasons. I wanted my daughter to have these relationships in the sense of they didn't cause that pain to her. They treat her in a different way than they did me. And for a long time, I always felt like they were going to hurt her like they did me. But then I started to learn two things. One, she's not me in the sense of she has me as her mother, and I have empowered her beyond belief. So they can't do to her what they did to me because I was a small child that didn't have that support. And she is so empowered. She is so strong. And I want her to be able to learn how to face challenges in her life as well. And I felt like with these relationships, I realized that I have taught her to be her authentic self in such a way that she can take that with her wherever she goes and no matter what relationship. And with these relationships that had hurt me in the past, I'm like, they can't hurt me anymore. And you know what? I don't think they can hurt her. And like, and if they do hurt her a little bit, we got this. Like, we both got this. Like, it's a learning opportunity. I can help guide her through it because of both the foundations that we have built. We can keep growing. And they can't take that away from her because that's hers. And it's been such a really cool thing to watch as I see myself coming into more authenticity and watching my daughter fully embrace her authenticity and what it's done to like our mind, our body, and our spirits. And it's a beautiful thing. So if you are struggling with embracing your authenticity and living as your full self, just know that that's it. That's part of the trauma that can keep us stuck. And it's part of the energy that's trapped in our body. And part of being able to embrace your full authenticity is releasing that trapped energy. And again, part of the conversation I was having with a friend today, he's like, one of the things that drives him crazy is, with therapists and feeling like you have to talk about the trauma to get rid of it, which is so counterintuitive to everything we know about trauma. Trauma lives in your body, and re traumatizing yourself is not the answer. And when you talk about the trauma, you have a high likelihood of re traumatizing yourself. The way modern society is built and Western medicine tools are built do not help to support releasing trauma from the body in an efficient way. If you've gone to therapy for years and you've done a lot of things and you still feel like you're spinning your wheels, then you have lived it firsthand of some of the issues that we're facing with releasing trapped energy from our body. And that's why I started sharing and started teaching because trauma changes your biology at a cellular level, which has a direct impact on your frequency and your ability to connect with your spiritual self. Once you start to understand that and you start to learn how to release the energy in your biology and in your cells, your biology starts to repair itself. And as it does that, your frequency begins to rise. And as you, those masks that I'm talking about, that's energy. The masks are energy that's trapped in your body. Releasing the masks allows you to reach your spiritual self. Your spiritual self is your true, authentic self. If you are afraid of saying something in this world, if you're afraid of being who you are, if you are afraid and you're constantly hiding, you're wearing a mask. Your authentic self isn't afraid. because it knows it is pure love. Your authentic spiritual self doesn't get scared to speak the truth because it knows the truth from a place of love and wisdom. Your spiritual and authentic self just lives with pure love and light, and it's possible for every single human being. And if you are a sensitive soul, if you're an empath, and you can feel something calling to you, that is your spiritual self that's calling from you. It's asking you to listen. It's being covered up by pain and conditioning of this world. And your spiritual self will help guide you to release that. You just need to find the right tools and the right direction in order to be able to do that. And that's what I teach. So if this is something you want to learn and you want guidance and you want to know how to get through this in a more efficient way, and you want the path to mind, body, spirit harmony and releasing trauma and healing your biology from the impact of trauma, visit thecollectivehealers.com. I will drop all of the information in the show notes. Explore what we have to offer, explore the community, explore the programs, the courses, the meditations, because all of it is designed to help you break through and to release that biology and to release that biological impact of trauma so you can experience your true authentic self sooner rather than later. And you can embrace wholeness and you can embrace your authenticity and just be the amazing, wonderful, glowing, brilliant light in this world that you truly are. Thank you for joining us on today's episode of The Collective Healers. Remember, healing is a personal process, and you have the power to create harmony in mind, body, and spirit. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your support helps us reach more listeners who can benefit from these topics. Also, stop over and say hello on Instagram and Facebook. And until next time, I am sending you so much love.